Okay, all right. So I got my guy Alex here. We were finally able to meet up.
What's going on, y'all? What's going on? It's Alejandro from the far side. Stanley Avenue in the building.
Okay, okay. So the first
This is water, by the way. So y'all don't think I'm drinking a 40 ounce.
so the first thing I want to ask you, Alex,
Yeah.
is well, first I want to thank you for coming to sit with me.
Yeah,
I
thank
really
you.
do appreciate that.
Thank you for allowing me to share the space with you.
No problem. So I want to know who was the most inspirational person throughout your life?
The most inspirational person I would definitely say is my grandmother. You know, my grandmother really cared about me, and you know, for those that know me and know my story a little bit, my grandmother always looked for me, and she chased after me through the projects, calling my name out. And you know, now that I'm a little older, my grandmother has passed away, but you know, I keep her memory alive because she raised me to be a decent person in the world. So, you know, I'm just trying to like you know, carry what my grandmother instilled in me. You know what I'm saying? Those values and those morals. You know, I found myself getting away from that throughout the years of like the trials and tribulations. But you know, definitely I would say my grandmother's my biggest inspiration. That's my superhero.
Nice.
My grandmother, yeah.
Nice. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I can relate because my grandmother, who isn't with us anymore,
Right.
she used to yell out the window. Now, she couldn't, like your grandmother,
Right.
chase after you outside, but
Yeah,
she
yeah.
would be like, hey, girl, and they would make fun of me. But now when I think back, it's like, wow, she really loved me to come out in those streets or call out into the streets
Sure.
to try to get me. And, you know,
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So, I want to talk about prison because I know you've been to prison. And
Yeah.
what age were you first locked up?
The first time I got arrested, I was 19 years old. Actually, the first time I got arrested for something serious, I was 16 years old. And I got caught in front of 569 East 108 Street in the parking lot area. I got caught for a direct sale. I ended up getting 5 years felony probation. But I got a youthful offender. So what that means is, you know, being that I was under the age of 18, you know, they gave me like 5 years probation, and eventually I ended up violating the probation
When you were 19?
when I was 19.
Okay.
You know, I found myself traveling, going back and forth to upstate, to Utica, New York, Rome, New York, you know, and then in that journey, I found myself violating the felony probation, and when I violated the felony probation, my sentence was a 1 to 3. So at 19, I got sent to prison, and they sent me to the shock program, which was in Lakeview, New York, all the way up by Canada.
And that's like a boot camp, right?
It's like a military program.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so I was in a boot, you know what I'm saying? I was in a military boot camp pretty much.
Now, how was that? Not to cut you off, but how was that a little bit, the shock program?
It created
Was it difficult for you as a young man?
At first it was because I was never used to anything like that. But as time went on in the program, it started to instill discipline in me, and you know, I was starting to be more responsible for myself.
Right.
Making up my bed, folding my clothes, being neat and organized, ironing my uniform.
Nice.
You know, they just instilled certain behaviors that you know, reinforced the way my grandmother raised me.
Right.
So, you know, just having a structure and a sense of discipline, waking up 5:30 every morning to run, you know what I'm saying? On the weekends it would be 6 a.m. and you know, there's having breakfast, having lunch, having dinner. It's just like, it's a routine, it's a structure.
Yeah, wow.
So, you know, I really found myself you know, evolving from that, you know, at a younger age.
Nice. So you pretty much was locked up for selling drugs, which means as a young man, a young woman, money is a big issue for us around that age.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's not enough resources that we could do anything legal, you know, if we're not on the right track. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, like, we had a lot of, people in our neighborhood, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Brookline, to all the sides of the projects. Just we had a lot of older guys that I looked up to,
Right.
and I never necessarily had a father figure, but I looked at a lot of the older guys as like, maybe big brothers,
Right,
or
right.
like an uncle.
Yes, definitely.
And then also growing up around the 5% Nation, growing up in Age of Me, rest in peace
Yes,
to the
rest
Queen,
in peace.
Age of Me,
Yes.
growing up around Hasib, Talib, those was my brothers growing up, Navar, Tyrell, Little Ronald, just,
Yeah,
just certain
yeah.
people I grew up around, these is the people that it made me who I am.
Right,
Like
right,
in
right.
a certain way.
Yeah.
We all sharpened each other up and made each other tougher, smarter. We was all competitive. We all played sports. So those are some of the influences that I had. Watching the older guys making money, and I just wanted to make money. I wanted the girls to like me.
Right.
I wanted to obtain success. But over time, I realized that, in order to maintain a successful lifestyle, I have to do things in a certain way. And
Absolutely.
the way I used to do things is really not the way to go.
Right, they're like traps.
Yeah.
They lead to dead ends.
100%.
I want to stay a little bit on the prison just for a little while.
Yeah.
How many times have you been to prison?
I went in and out. Thank you for asking that question. I've been in and out of prison, Rikers Island, County Jail, upstate New York. And, for lack of a better term, I would say I was like a crash dummy. Going, struggling with the prison system, going in and out, having parole, violating parole. After doing the 1 to 3, while I was in the boot camp, I got kicked out of the boot camp. I got into an altercation with someone. They wanted to restart me in the program, and then I had a 1 to 3. So I was already far along in the process of graduating and completing the shock program. And when they told me that I had to be recycled or restarted, I decided to say, yo, just give me my time. I don't want to keep doing this.
Just did it.
And so I got sent to Green in Coxsackie, New York. They called that Gladiator School. It was a lot of wild craziness going on. And that was around 2003, 2004. The most positive thing that I got out of that was I was able to obtain my GED.
Nice.
And so, I got something positive out of that situation. I think that was the most positive thing I could say. What did I learn from that? And I was able to gain some education.
Yes, definitely.
Shout out to the people that came from the outside, teachers and people that came and contributed to the prison program to orchestrate and help us to get our GED.
Definitely.
So I'm thankful for that, and that instills something positive in me.
Nice.
Unfortunately, when I to answer the question that you asked about talking about prison, unfortunately, when I got out of that situation and I got home, I had parole time, but I was home for only 3, maybe 4 months, and I caught a whole nother case, and I was facing 7.5 to 15.
Oh wow, that's a lot.
I had to, I sat in Rikers Island. My family, my mom, my grandma, she was still alive. They was able to call family in Puerto Rico, and they put together some money so they could get a lawyer for me to help me, so I didn't have to do that much time.
Like the 15.
So I ended up getting 2 years and 5 years parole, which was 7 years.
Okay, all
And
right.
then I found myself going into prison. Wyoming, Bear Hill, Auburn,
Wow.
just to
And that
name a few of the different places.
That really takes a toll on a person,
100%.
And I just real quick want you to talk to the youth about some of the challenges they may face in prison? Because a lot of the time they got this attitude, I don't care if I go, or they're just not thinking.
Right.
So what are some challenges they may face if they happen to go in there?
I think
like a lot of fighting.
I think a lot of the challenges is like really staying away. You know, don't gamble, don't do drugs. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are some of the things that'll get you caught up with, you know, losing your freedom inside the jail.
Yeah, because there's drugs and gambling inside of the prison.
Yeah, it's drugs, it's gang violence, it's, you know, territorial in a lot of ways. You know, this clique, that clique, you know, the crew, they got Bronx dudes and dudes from Queens, people from upstate New York. So, you know, everybody got their little crew and who they mess with.
Right.
And but one of the things I would say is, you know, keep it to yourself, do your exercise, work out, develop a positive routine for yourself for those that's facing those challenges. But I would say, ultimately, just stay away from negativity is my message.
Definitely.
Because the negativity will lead you to losing your freedom, and those are some of the things that happened to me. And if I could, you know, say anything positive to prevent somebody from, you know, going through the troubles that I went through, I would say, you know, stay positive, stick with the winners, you know, do positive things and stick around people that are doing positive things.
Stick with the winners and duck the losers.
And duck the loot, you know, you gotta shake that negativity off, because those are some of the things that will cause you to lose your freedom and lose your self-worth as a person. So,
right. Now, I know you was telling me one of the times you got out of prison, you were shot.
I was in Wyoming State Prison in Attica, New York. And within 24 hours, I got shot. I was on Williams Avenue, and pretty much right across the street from PS 260, the public school.
Wow.
The public school that I went to growing up, you know, across from the big baseball field, 5 Diamonds.
Wow, right over there?
Yeah.
And then within 24 hours of getting out?
I was home for 24 hours. You know, I'm not going to name any names.
Right.
But, I went to see some peoples of mine that I grew up around, you know, Far Side Crew and just everybody that was outside. There was a lot of people out there. And, I was having a conversation with a couple of the guys. And then next thing I know, I turned around and all I was looking at was the fire coming out of the pistol, you know, like fire coming out of the barrel. And I was in shock, you know what I mean?
Right.
And ultimately, you know, I'm thankful I'm still alive because,
absolutely,
you know, I guess the person's weapon got jammed up and they went on top of me to continue to shoot me. And, you know, my instinct was to put my hands up. You know I can't block no bullets.
Right.
But that was my instinct, to block my face.
Wow.
And the guy was trying to continue to shoot me. And it broke my leg. It broke my femur. I have a rod in my leg. You know, that was an experience that changed my life. And it humbled me a lot.
Right.
You know, I would say that, you know, I did some things myself, that I'm not so proud of. And I won't get into too much details about it, but some of the things that caused me to go to prison, you know, I would say that was like karma for me.
Right, and it's great that you're taking accountability. You at least faced yourself, you know?
Right.
And you know what you did wrong. And you have no problem taking accountability for it. And yes, karma is very real. But when I hear things like that, like you're there, they're shooting over you, it makes me feel sad. Like, you know?
Yeah.
But you made it through. Now, how old was you around then? Like 20s or
I was in my
teens?
20s. I was in my 20s.
That's still
actually,
young.
I was like
Still
29. I was 29.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank God you made it through that.
Yeah.
So now, you want to get into the homelessness? Or,
yeah, I could talk about that.
That's a big thing as well, that many of us can't survive, like without losing our mind. You still have your sanity, able to talk about this, so that's a big deal.
Yeah.
What's that like?
I would like to talk about the part where, I found myself being a person that was like selling drugs, and then, I found myself being a drug user, and in the midst of my addiction, I found myself becoming homeless. Not because I didn't have anywhere to go, but because of the choices that I was making.
Right.
And the choices that I started to make was abusing alcohol and drugs. And, my grandmother passed away. I don't want to blame my addiction on my grandmother passing away.
But there is a deep depression that people go into behind
losing a significant,
yes.
close loved one, especially my grandmother.
Yes.
If anybody know me, that was always been my favorite person.
Yes.
Is my grandma. So, I was struggling with addiction for a long time, secretly, e-pills, cocaine, crack, crystal meth, mushrooms, acid, PCP, heroin,
how did you
K2.
start? Did somebody say, let's try it, or were you just like, well, I'm gonna go look for it?
You know what? Thank you for asking that. Just to be honest with you, I began to become like a mad scientist, a chemist. Like, I want to feel up, I want to feel down, I want to understand what different drugs make me feel.
Okay.
Because I was already in the addiction. So while I was in my addiction, I was like a person that was like, whatever drug is there, I want to, like, if I never did it before, let me try it so I can understand how it makes me feel.
Wow, you're really bold. You're bold for that.
So I became that person, and I would say that's what makes me an alchemist. Although I've used drugs, and although I've went through those obstacles of homelessness, sleeping on trains, sleeping in parks throughout New York City, jumping from different houses and couch to couch, different shelters.
Never really feeling settled.
Never having the stability.
Right.
Never feeling a sense of being settled and safe and secure.
Right.
And in the midst of that, I just want to say that despite all the negativity and all the drug addiction and the homelessness, I found some strength within myself. All praises due to God. I believe in the higher power. I know my grandmother's looking over me, protecting me. And, the strength that's inside of my will said, one day I just got up and I was like, I don't want this no more for myself.
That's amazing. That seriously is amazing. Now, getting to the drugs, I want to know about crack.
Right.
Because I've seen close friends go down and still battling that demon.
Right.
What is that like that make people just like disregard their children, husband, wife? What is that? What's that about?
That's a terrible drug to have an addiction with. I found myself becoming addicted to crack cocaine.
How does it feel? How did you feel? Like
it makes you just want to keep on going. It gives you this rush, and then overall, once you do a lot of it, it starts to make you paranoid. It starts to make you not take care of yourself. You don't take care of your hygiene correctly. You start begging and asking people for money. I've experienced those experiences, and one thing I can say is that's not something that I want for myself. And being in that environment where people are addicted to drugs and crack in particular, and heroin too.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that as well.
Those are drugs. So, I got into this place where I was like, I wanted to try different things, and then I was selling dope. I would be, in between Williamsburg, Bushwick, Bed-Stuy. I knew some people from Bushwick Projects and people that I was like in prison with, and I networked with some people, and I started selling dope, and eventually I became my best customer.
Wow.
I started using it. I started sniffing it, shooting it. Then crack and dope, K2. I used to hang out on Myrtle and Broadway.
Yeah, I know that.
Right off the J line. I lived on Myrtle Avenue by Sumter Projects and Tompkins, over close by Marcy Ave, Marcy Projects, Roosevelt Projects. So I ran through those areas.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I lived over there for a while, and I ran through those areas, and I experimented with a lot of different drugs, and I would use one drug to get me off another drug, and
so it was a cycle of.
It was a cycle of.
The cycle just kept going.
You was using different drugs, using different things. You know what I'm saying? And
so, getting back into the drugs, the drug abuse.
Right.
What are some other things that you got into, like?
I'm gonna get into this topic. In my addiction, I found myself, doing things that I'm not proud of, or things that I probably feel shame about. Addiction is ugly. It had me stealing, robbing the subways, taking things from people. It had me interacting with men. You know what I'm saying? And I don't identify as being gay, but I think that I found myself doing things because of my addiction.
Now, was that for the drug? How did that start?
It really started like.
Or just being high?
It started off from me doing things for money, or for drugs, or for both.
Okay.
I met a person that reintroduced me, because I had tried crystal meth before, and then in that time, I'm sorry, man. In that time, I found myself getting off of the dope and the crack and the K2, and then I started to smoke crystal meth.
Wow.
And then when I started to smoke crystal meth, it changed me into a different person.
Right.
From like being like down and slumped over, like not taking care, to then being up and wanting to like take better care of myself. At least I thought that way.
Right.
But ultimately it started to deteriorate me. I found myself, like, I wouldn't say prostituting, like, but is there such thing as male prostitution?
You was getting paid.
I was getting paid, or I was getting, I would get drugs or money or both.
Now, did you enjoy it at the time, not with a right mind, in your high mind?
I had some interesting experiences. I won't say that I'll have total regret. I think that in that process, I was able to explore and experiment,
right,
to find out what it is that I really like and what it is that I really want to do.
And not to cut you off, but I think that men should be able to do that. Females, we do that all the time.
Right.
We deal with each other younger, or
right.
just a lot of experimenting.
Right.
And I feel like, men should be allowed to do that as well, without feeling shame, because we're human beings.
Right.
But yeah, so you enjoyed it or you didn't enjoy it?
I had some enjoyable experiences at times.
Okay.
But then I realized, like, that's not really what I want. That's not really what I want to do.
Okay.
That's not the way I want to live my life.
Right.
I think that is the appropriate thing to do is to, and there's no knock on whatever other people want to do. But I think that in my clear mind, I'm attracted to women. And that's what I see myself. I'm sorry, man. So, in my clear mind, I see myself, in rehabilitation, rebuilding myself, and realizing that, I want to produce. I want to be able to have a woman in my life that I could potentially marry one day, or, have a child. I could segue into the child thing, where I thought,
Absolutely.
Around the time when I had got shot, it's a little boy named Alexander Levitt Soto Jr. And I was interacting with this female. Her name is Desiree. You know, shout out to Desiree. I still have communication with her because I think that I still want to be an ally to little Alex.
Young man, yeah.
You know what I mean? Little Alex is going into high school. And she named him after me, but the way I found out was I was subpoenaed to family court for child support. And then in the midst of me being subpoenaed to court for child support, I found myself petitioning for DNA testing. So I wanted to make sure that if this baby is mine, I want to make sure for sure that I'm taking care of a kid that's biologically mine. Yes. So in that process, I found out that he wasn't my biological son.
Wow.
And that was after him being about 4 or 5 years old. You know, she had a daughter as well.
That's a long time, thinking a child is yours.
100%. And actually, my mom came from New York City, from Brooklyn, all the way upstate New York to Utica, central New York, upstate where I used to live at. And then I found myself, my mom actually was there for when the baby was born.
Wow.
So these are some of the hurdles that we go through.
Yeah.
But that's just an example of, not letting things stop you from doing what you really want to do. And the message in all of that is, life is gonna happen. We're gonna go through ups and downs. We're gonna experience things, and at the end of the day, it's all about, finding yourself and evolving into the person that you're supposed to be. Thank you for coming out and speaking with me. I think the overall message that I want to say is, no matter what you go through, you could bounce back from anything.
Absolutely, absolutely. And never be ashamed of the different levels that you've been through, because I've met so many different parts of myself. They're all different. Nobody is just the face that they show us. They might not be as bold to talk about it as you or I. But they've had some different levels of their self as well. So I would say don't be ashamed of that. Even though we're human. But there's so many things I'm ashamed about. But then I realized that was me at that time. And I'm always evolving. So it's okay. It's totally okay. This is life.
I think one of the things that we have to think about is the things that we experience in our life is what makes us become who we are.
Right.
So even the negative, the positive, all of those experiences, it allows us to evolve into the person that we're supposed to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I appreciate those experiences because, I'm able to talk about it, and, I just want my message to be a positive message. I'm in the process of fixing my life, rebuilding.
I was just about to ask you, what are you doing now to, stay on the right track?
So right now, I'm clean and sober. I'm approaching 3 months clean from everything.
Yay! Congratulations.
So May 9th is my clean date.
Nice.
I decided to, get some help, go into a program, and now I'm working on school, and I'm just trying to better my life and be a better person.
And you're already, seeing the fruits of that because you look good.
Thank you.
Like you say, you're 3 months clean, and just take it one day at a time and keep going. The fact that you even thought about, wait a minute, I got to get myself out of this by any means necessary. That's a big deal, because that seems to be the hardest part, especially for people addicted to drugs. The hardest part is to, even 2 days is a big deal.
Yeah, for sure.
And I really applaud you for that.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you for that, Alex. Seriously.
That. Thank you.
And you're so smart and intelligent.
Thank you.
I mean, you really are. I know you want to be a drug counselor.
Yes, I'm pursuing my KSAC. which is, being credentialed by the state. Shout out to Recoveries R Us, is one of the schools in Harlem. Connie Pacheco is the director and the president of the program. And what the program does is allow people such as myself that's accumulating clean time, because you have to be clean and sober to accomplish these classes and get these certifications.
And the fact that you decided you was gonna help yourself and get out of that, I applaud your strength. Like, that inspires me.
Thank you.
Everything that you've been through,
Yeah, for sure.
Even speaking when you told me that you were stabbed as well.
Yeah, I was stabbed. I got the slice right here across my neck.
Wow.
I got stabbed in my leg in Bushwick.
Wow.
I got stabbed on my side over here. Somewhere.
Wow.
So, I got sliced over here. I got shot. I got stabbed. I got jumped. I fell asleep on a park bench, and another homeless person came and bust me and broke my eye socket.
Wow.
I was in Woodhull Hospital. My mom came. So
that shows the strength you have.
I really experienced a lot of ugly things.
Yes. But like Maya Angelou says, there's rainbows in the clouds. So you had a lot of clouds, but you definitely had some rainbows.
Definitely. Still I rise.
Still I rise.
And
that's right. That's right.
And that's what the message is at the end of the day. Is like, no matter what we go through, the ups, the downs, the good, the bad, the ugly, it helps to create who we're supposed to be.
Right.
And I think that we use our knowledge and our experience and our wisdom to help other people.
Absolutely.
And that's what I want to do, with my life. I want to use the things that happen to me, the things I've experienced, to help other people.
Right, inspire someone else to say, wait a minute, maybe let me not go that route.
100%.
Because Alex went that route, or April went that route.
Right.
Let me do something different. And, it's not just the youth either. We still need help. We're still here,
Sure, definitely.
But definitely the youth, because they're the ones, on demon time. So, and I don't like to judge, because you got to put yourself mentally in that place and that time. I can't be 42 trying to judge a 16-year-old for their actions, because when I was 16,
we was
it
16,
was right. So I have to try to understand and give grace to them, So, but this was. How do you feel about this whole conversation?
I'm thankful. I'm thankful that you came to share your space with me. The fact that you thought about me to take the time out to want to speak to me and maybe allow me to share my message, which is ultimately never give up. No matter what you go through, always, it don't matter how many times I fell down, I'm gonna keep getting back up.
Resilient.
And the way, my mother's got experience. Shout out to my mom. Shout out to my dad. Shout out to my grandmother. On both sides of my family. Shout out to you. Shout out to the people that instill positivity in me. And inspire me and influence me in a positive way.
Yeah.
Because my mom was able to get out of addiction. My dad was able to get himself out of addiction.
My parents as well.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of our family members, aunts, uncles, brothers.
Because that's what they have in the community.
Right.
Remember I was telling you about the plan for us to just tear each other apart.
Right.
So we're gonna put drugs, guns, whatever we can.
Yeah, for sure.
Put them on top of each other so that they won't survive. But
definitely,
we survive.
100%.
We create happy moments after all the drama. We really do make it through, and
definitely,
I think we need to give ourselves.
I think it's important to give ourselves a little credit, and I think it's also important for us to, communicate with one another and express, what we appreciate about one another. Love is not about possession and controlling.
Right.
Love is about appreciation.
That's right.
And giving people their flowers.
That's right.
And that's why, I stay humble, because I want to say thank you to the people that do this positive thing and trying to influence. Shout out to Man Up. I seen the interview that you did about that.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really dope.
Aren't their services great? I didn't even know they had all those services.
Yeah,
but
I mean, shout out to Man. Shout out to the people that's running that program in East New York and in Canarsie. I really feel inspired about things like that.
Right,
How they're helping the community and stuff.
And we need more of that because a lot of times we don't know where to go. We don't know where to send our children, our friends, ourselves.
Yeah.
Where do we go? What do we do? So I want to try to, as best I can, because I'm just like a tiny piece of the puzzle. But whatever I can do to spread the information, that's what I want to do. Now, before we wrap this up, do you have any questions for me or anything like that?
Yeah, I just want to say, I want to know, like throughout your experiences, because I know you got experiences with, music, recording music, being on 106 in Park, having, those is dope experiences.
Yeah.
Because I was really excited to see that, seeing somebody that you know.
Now, that was because I was there to see Jay-Z.
Right.
And,
That was dope. I wanted to know, how has your experiences with music, recording music, pursuing a music career, how has that impacted you, and how does it make you be the person that you are now because of those experiences?
It definitely, first I want to say that was the only thing that I was passionate about.
Right.
Until now. But I was very passionate about it. But hip hop is a very competitive sport.
Right.
And I don't really like the person that I became.
Right.
It took me a while to even watch my old videos and things because I remember the thoughts I had.
Right.
I became dark.
Okay.
I became very dark from that, and it was a good experience making the music though because it was very therapeutic.
Okay.
But at the same time, when you leave the studio and you make the song, now you're dealing with the real world.
Right.
Now I feel like, everybody hates me.
Right.
Nobody's rooting for me. Everyone is against me, and And then I had a certain arrogance because you couldn't tell me I wasn't better than Biggie, Jay-Z, and whoever else.
You're supposed to feel like that.
Yeah, but I don't want to have that arrogance.
Okay. All right.
I don't want it to just be me about me.
Right.
And that's how I was. Now I want it to be about myself and the community. It's not just me because that's why that didn't work. It was other reasons why it didn't work,
So you would say, would you say like in those experiences it was therapeutic, but overall you found that you really want to pursue the light, and the music kind of was bringing you to a dark place? Is that safe?
Yes.
Say
The
that?
deeper I got into it, I became, in a dark, very dark.
Right.
And then, I wanted to switch lanes with my music, but the fans that I did have was used to the hardcore.
Gotcha.
But I didn't want to push that message out because I've seen what music can do.
Right.
And so now if I do any music, it's going to be therapeutic. None of that killing, guns.
What do you think about doing maybe possibly like gospel rap? Because I saw Snoop Dogg, he collaborated with a lot of, people, like Kurt Franklin, CeCe Winans, a lot of the people that's in the church. But I would think that would be something beautiful. We actually in front of a church. So speaking about that, I think maybe that would be a positive thing that you could do, is maybe look into doing like a hip hop.
A song,
like a song.
Yeah,
maybe.
it's funny that you say that because the other day I started a song for like the whole "God is my bestie" thing.
That's dope.
And I want to put that on my YouTube channel, or and I like that idea because I'm like, all the time I've been doing music, I never dedicated anything to my grandmother or God.
That's dope.
And it's like, where was my mind at then?
No doubt.
So yeah.
It's like you got all of that stuff out of your system.
Yes.
Now now you feel light, and then now you want to pursue a positive message.
Have to, because like I was telling you, for me right now, it's about what am I leaving behind?
Right.
When I'm no longer here, what will my post be? What will the last things I said to a friend over the phone be?
Right.
What will my granddaughter have? Like,
Wow,
that's important.
beautiful.
That's important to me. What am I leaving behind?
Right.
Am I going to be part of the problem or
Right.
part of the solution? And I'm deciding to be part of the solution.
That's awesome.
But we had a beautiful time, Alex. Give us some love. We had a good time. Thank you so much. I really, truly do. Yes, I really, truly do appreciate you, especially since, you know, like you said, this is out the mud. It's no lights and stuff like that, but you still came through. And everyone that comes through, I really, really do appreciate y'all.
I support everything that you got going on. I'm rooting for you. I'm always going to cheer for you. I'm always going to like support whatever it is you're doing.
Thank you.
Because the energy you're putting out into the world right now is important. You're a positive influence. You know, God bless you. You got a grandbaby.
Yeah.
Your son is a dad.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes.
And I saw that interview where you sat with your son and you spoke to him. I thought that was so awesome.
Yeah.
And I just love everything that you got going on and the path that you blazing a trail right now. You showing people like, cause you still got people that's following you from when you was doing your music.
Right.
And so now people are able to see the transformation. And it's like the butterfly.
Yeah, I love that.
You know,
love that
like
part.
you're going from the caterpillar to the butterfly.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful.
It's pretty
So,
cool.
you know, you inspire me. I'm encouraged. I feel empowered. You know what I'm saying?
I love that.
It's the people like you that make me want to be a better person. You know what I mean? So
And
I
that
just
makes
want to
me feel good.
I just want to give you your flowers about that.
That makes me feel good. And you're very inspirational as well.
Thank you.
You know, yeah.
Yeah, I want to put the positivity in the atmosphere because the positive energy is what helped change my life.
Right.
What's inspiring me to be a better person. People like, you know, that care about me, people that's rooting for me, people that believe in me. I don't want to disappoint them anymore.
Right.
Because people see potential in me. When people see potential in you and you don't live up to that, it's like, it's disappointing to the people that love us.
Right.
You know, so yeah, man.
Yes, absolutely.
You know,
So I want to close this out.
Yeah.
How much time we got? Yeah, and do our little leg dance.
Peace and blessings, y'all.
Peace. Later, Alex. This was great.